Good morning. It's just after 6:10 in the morning and it was completely clear last night. The sun is just coming up over there and the scope is taking flats right now, and I'm using this lovely early morning sky because I have a theory that my LED lighting panel does not produce the correct color temperature, or rather the broad spectrum of light, to take reliable flats. So I'm going to do a test. I'm taking sky flats at the moment, and then I'm going to do exactly the same again, but take flats with my LED panel and then stack each of those individually and see what the result is. Second round of flats. I'm now taking the flats again, but using an LED panel, and then I'm going to compare the results. I managed to get a whole night's imaging in April in the UK, which is pretty cool. I used the SVBONY 405cc camera, which has the 294C sensor, which is notoriously difficult to calibrate. I stacked the data in several different ways. Firstly with the sky flats, and secondly with the LED tracing panel. Now in ASTAB, this is with the sky flats. So you can see here I have the vignetting around the corners, and there's that funny sort of round shape around the object, which I seem to have in all of my images. And that's with sky flats with just some sheets of paper on top of the telescope. This is stacked in ASTAB. I then did exactly the same data, but I changed the flats to the LED panel and I got this result. So clearly there's something weird going on with my flats, and the color is different. It's got loads of vignetting. Interestingly, the darks are working perfectly because you can't see the starburst from the amp glow. So they're working fine. It's just the flats that are at fault. And looking at this data, it looks really good. Really good. So that's very positive. So I'll put those there. I then stacked again, but using AstroPixel processor. And this was the result. Again, it's different to the others, and I've still got that kind of circle around and loads of vignetting, again suggesting that the flats aren't working. I then used the light pollution removal tool in AstroPixel processor to remove some of the light pollution, and also the vignetting removal tool, and I got this result, which is not too bad at all. So from this, I was able to actually process the image and get something that's reasonably good, and I'm quite pleased with the final result. And here it is. This is M81 with that data. So it's turned out quite well. I'll just show you quickly what I did in PixInsight. To get to this, I had to do a lot of dynamic background extraction. Let's go through just a few of the things I had to do. I did my normal process of background neutralization, color calibration, and then SCNR. Then I ended up with this image here, which I cropped using the dynamic crop. I ran loads of dynamic background extraction. So I went in, and you can see here it's actually saved dynamic background extraction 1, dynamic background extraction 2, dynamic background extraction 3. So it was 3 dynamic background extractions, and that was to try and remove the large round circle that was in the image. And I think it did a reasonably good job of removing that, so you can see it quite visibly. And after the dynamic background extraction several times, it seems to have corrected it a bit. The stars are not brilliant. Now you can see there are diffraction spikes which are not just from the mirror supports, but I'm working on that. I think it's a combination of collimation and also the secondary dew heater cable causing problems, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I think I can get away with it. Now I was going to go down the route of separating the luminance red, green and blue, which I actually did, and it looked like this, which was really noisy. So this is the red, and the same was the case for the green, the blue and the luminance. And interestingly, if you look at the blue, you can really see the circle which is on the image. Now all of this is because my flats aren't working very well at the moment. I decided after looking at the luminance red, green and blue that I wasn't going to go down the route of using those. I just went straight back to this. I created a series of masks which were basically to mask out the galaxy in the middle so that I could work on reducing the noise in the background. I also applied the blur exterminator and I also ran the noise exterminator. From there I used the masks that I'd created and curves to be able to bring out some of the colours in the image, and I finally got to something that looked a bit like this. It's not perfect by a long shot, but I'm pretty pleased with the result, and if I could just get to the point where my flats are working, I reckon this would be really good. If I could get to the point where my flats are calibrating the data well, that would be a huge leap forwards for me. Looking back at the data, sky flats are working much better than when I use an LED tracing panel. Now I think that is because the LED tracing panel is a completely different color temperature. The route forwards, I think, is to take sky flats, but clearly my sky flats are not working. I'm using sheets of white paper over the telescope, and I think those are in turn again changing the color temperature of the light. So you can see visibly everything's kind of blue and it's got loads of vignetting. And here we've got the large circles still and vignetting. If I can get to the point where I can create flats accurately with the correct color temperature, then I think that will have a huge improvement. There are commercial flat panels available. This one I find very interesting, and I find it interesting from the perspective of this, which is a graph that shows you quite clearly on this side we've got a blue flat and the red, green and blue is not aligned, and on this side we've got slightly more grey white flat and the red, green and blue are more aligned, so it's a natural colour. That's very interesting to me because I think my LED flat panel is doing weird things on this side. I mean, it's a tracing panel. It's not actually designed to take flat, but it is possible to do it with these if you get one that creates the correct color temperature. So I clearly haven't got one that does that. Some of these products are very expensive for a flat panel, and clearly they have managed to find LEDs inside these which are able to produce the correct color temperature or the correct balance of RGB to create good flats. I'm going to have another go to try and create accurate flats, and I'm going to look very closely at the red, green and blue content on the histogram if I can maybe build my own flats panel. So yeah, I'll see how I get on with that. I hope you're having loads of clear skies. In the UK it's a bit cloudy at the moment. We're heading rapidly into the end of spring, beginning of summer in the UK, which means rain. So it's been predominantly cloudy. If I get out again soon, I will bring you the results of my new flats panel, which will be very exciting. In other cool news, we've just reached 1,000 subscribers. Woohoo! Seriously, that's 1,000. That's bonkers. And I just want to say a massive thank you to each and every one of you. 1,000 subs. I never ever envisaged that I could get to 1,000 subscribers, and I cannot thank you all enough. I'm incredibly grateful for your support, for your comments, for basically correcting me when I'm a complete muppet, which is quite a lot of the time, and generally helping me. It's been a long journey to get to 1,000 subs, but I am really grateful to you all for your support and your kindness for subscribing. So yeah, thank you all for subscribing, and I'll keep producing videos while I can, and I hope you enjoy the content. I try really hard to make it reasonably light-hearted and fun. I'll keep making the videos. Thank you all again for your support. It's really appreciated, very much so. And clear skies, everyone.